Coach, just kind of first thing, what did maybe you see on the tape that you didn't see to the naked eye, or anything that really kind of stood out about what went well, what didn't go well, or so on from last week's game?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. You kind of evaluate a little bit of everything. I thought after the game, I felt it was 60 minutes. It was competitive. We were locked in. We were doing some things that we needed to do the whole game, which was some positive stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still a loss, and we went in there to win the game. I don't want that to be lost in any silver lining. But I think there was some positive things, especially to take away offensively, offensive protection. And I think through the body of work, Cam Ward has been phenomenal. I really mean that. I think he gives us an opportunity every week to go out there and win a game. And I think he showed that again. He made a throw rolling to his right over the top to Kyle Williams. I don't think people appreciate him enough, if I'm being honest. I think he's out there, he's gutting it out, he's avoiding things, he's making plays happen. Thought we played better at the offensive line. And then defensively was probably the biggest takeaway that, I've talked about it up here enough. Just when things are moving and things are adjusting, we are not communicating enough and getting our eyes right in good situations. And that's where, you get big holes, you give up big plays, and that's never going to be a recipe for success. So we have to shore that up as we go down this home stretch.
We've talked about from the defensive perspective how maybe people thought the blueprint was the rush 3 drop 8. That was getting talked about. And then you see Oregon, they only rushed 3, I think it was 5 times, rushed 4 more, 42 times. So does it kind of change the way that maybe defenses are looking at you guys, and it's not so much that rush 3 drop 8?
Here's the thing. I think that sounds great. Well, are you a rush 3 team? We just don't rush 3 and drop 8. It's not in the core of our package of what we do. On defense. So if that works one week and you see it, it's hard to just magically in 5 days create a whole package that you put extra DBs on or that type of stuff. Oregon did spy them probably a little bit more than I thought to the naked eye, dropping 3 techniques out, but I'm good with that. So there's a lot of different ways that people will do it, but it's still got to be, going into this game this week, they're not going to rush 3 drop 8. That's not what they do. That's not the core of their package, and they'll find solutions within their package. So I think every week it's different.
You called Brock Boehm a bulldog on the postgame show with Brinker. He's a little bit undersized. I think 6'2", 6'3", but
I think that's overstated. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to say 6'1" tops probably.
But obviously you spoke about his work ethic and a guy who's kind of pushed his way into the rotation, into a starting role. Just where have you kind of seen him really blossom and kind of earn that spot as a guard? Because as you said, even on the show, he was kind of out of the rotation those first few weeks.
Well, I think his grit has always been part of who he is as a person, and I think that's really showed up on the field. And you know how it goes. Sometimes it takes longer. It's his 3rd year getting here. I think it's really clicked. He's doing things the way we're asking him to do it, and then that leads to results, right? So I think there's a process that he's followed that we're really excited about. And I mean it. When you get a guy out there playing at max capacity, doing things right, we can win a lot of games with that. And I think that's what Brock brings, and he is a bulldog. He is tough. He's physical. Even if something doesn't go right, he's going to get his tail back up, and he's going to keep moving. So I think he's solidified that right guard position, and we need to be consistent at the offensive line, and this will be the 5 that we go with.
Another O-lineman to ask you about, Christian Hilborn, I think was graded out as the 4th best offensive lineman.
Are you sponsored by PFF?
I would be happy to be.
Okay, all right.
If they want to do that, PFF, hit me up. No, but he graded out as the 4th best in the country this for week 8. I'm curious how he's made that happen, and how big of a factor was him moving back into the guard spot too?
I think that can't be understated. We've asked Christian to do a lot, and he missed a lot of fall camp, and things didn't go well really for anybody up there in UCLA game. But that's a pivotal point, right? So where is he going to take his game? Is he going to, tank and coaches are wrong and they're challenge me, or you're going to elevate what you're doing? And he has completely elevated the last 2 weeks. I meant it. That Arizona game was the best I've seen him play. I think he followed up with another great performance here against Oregon. So there's still a lot of things. Christian has it in him to be really, really good. And it's just making him see all the little details matter and the want to of it. He's still learning and growing. He's still a young player. So to keep getting better and to keep wanting to do that in the middle of the season, I think is very important and sets him up for a really great career if he keeps going in that direction.
And then Jalen suspended the other day for what sounds like a violation of team rules. Wonder if you wanted to elaborate on that and how long that'll last for him.
I do. Jalen Jenkins has been dismissed from the team. I think there's a certain point where we go that you have to. There's a standard that we have around here, and you got to follow it, and we all have to do it, and that's on and off the field, and those are the choices that we make. I'm going to leave it at that, and we will keep moving forward. And that was part of DP being in that plan, and just excited about what he does and what he brings, and it'll be an opportunity for other people. Leo's going to come up with the older group. Javinsky's been in the background waiting his turn, and we're excited to see what he can do. And I felt like last week was our best week running the football downhill. We didn't have that many attempts, but it was our best week, I think, statistically, besides the Northern Colorado game.
So there's a violation of team rules is the reason. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to leave it at that.
Okay. And then with Lincoln, with the school record 16 catches, I know you spoke at length about him the other day, but it seems like with these performances, like he's becoming like one of the better receivers that you guys have had in recent memory. What's like with his versatility and his speed, what does that kind of bring to your offense? And then like in the long run, how do you see him kind of being remembered here?
Well, let's talk about his journey first. I mean, I think he hasn't always gotten, what he's wanted either. He came here as a walk-on, earned a scholarship really as a special teams rotational player. Last year was completely lost in the shuffle, right? Nobody's talking about this last year, right? Then all of a sudden he finds his way. He keeps working. He puts, his energy into everything that he does, and then he's seeing the results of it. And, I think that's what I'm most proud of for Lincoln, his leadership. I think there was a time, last year we really had to challenge him to know that, hey, leadership isn't results-based, and now he's seeing both sides of it. And really proud of what he's bringing to our offense. I mean, you just see distinctly different when he's out there and when he's not. And, I said the same thing after the game about Coop. So really proud of Lincoln. In real time, I had no idea that he had that many catches. I really didn't until Bill alerted me after the game. And we just talked about it a little bit this morning. Like I said, we're not out here for individual accomplishments. Those things, I think, are celebrated after season. But when you do something that's never been done in Washington State football history, it's a big deal, especially at a place like this. You talk about catching passes. So I'm not sure who he passed up, but it's pretty cool for him to be in the record books.
Coach, after the Oregon game, you talked about how this is a copycat league trying to, stop the rushing game from Oregon and then the past three games. You're going up against Cameron Scadaboo and Arizona State, who tried to run it over UW last week. How do you try and counteract that?
We just got to be more sound. I think there's some times when we're watching the film, it's like we have nobody there, and that's not acceptable. So it's the movement stuff that's getting us, and that's exactly what people are going to do, really getting our nickel cover guy in the box and getting our eyes right and really dressing it up in different ways. And I think Arizona State does a good job of really being creative. In Scadaboo, I think that's how you pronounce it, is as physical as it gets. Downhill reminds me of the UCLA back. They're physical downhill, run behind their pads, and he's getting everything extra, and you're not going to bring him down just with one guy. So Arizona guys were that way as well. So I think he's giving that team a lift and really just plays the game the right way, the way you want it played.
And then, after the three losses, then you also said that these next 5 weeks are going to define how this team. Can you just kind of explain, I guess, what you meant by that?
Well, I think now you're on the back stretch of the season, So we talk about finishing around here all the time, and when you don't get your way, you really reveal who you are. Okay, so the last 3 weeks we didn't get our way, right? Went in there with a mission, didn't get it accomplished. So this team, now that some of the other stuff is out there, we're just fighting for each other, right? And we're fighting for a bowl game. We're fighting to extend that season because we only got 32 days guaranteed left. So that you reveal who you are when you don't get what you want, right? So we talked about it a little bit this morning. We'll hit on that this afternoon. And, we're about to go into enemy territory against a really good football team. So it's on. And I think our heart and passion of how we play following this up will be important.
Coach, there was sort of a viral moment in the third quarter where on that Oregon touchdown when they were up 4, where it seemed like Devin stopped. Was that confusion, or did he hear a whistle? Like, what did the tape show on that play?
Yeah, it looked really bad. He actually thought the tight end caught the ball and went out of bounds. So that's all I can really say on that play, and that we'll leave it at that.
And then, you're a guy that you say you like the noon kickoffs, but I'm sure after the UCLA physical match there and going to the desert here, Do you feel like, okay, you caught a little break with an evening game down in the desert in a hot
Yeah, I
climate?
think we'll take the sun going down. So you don't have to have those little shade benches over the top. So I think we'll have this. It'll be good, especially the way we talked about a little bit this morning. I mean, we're going to prepare in 39-degree weather and play in 89, right? So it's just the edge that we need to have in any situation, any circumstance. We got it ready to play, and we'll take it.
Coach, building off Noah's question, Scatterboot, he's a guy that we saw here with our FCS teams a good amount. He seems like an every down back, can get it done in the passing game as well. How important is it for you guys to win this game to stop him however you can?
Well, I think, he's kind of the guy that's driving their offensive rhythm. I think when you look at their offense, you got to look at a couple different things. It's been a carousel of people at the offensive line, no fault to their own. And we know what it's like to be inconsistent there. So that's been hard through a ton of injury. B, quarterback, they've played 4 of them. 16 by far and away is the best, right? By far and away gives them the best chance to win. So he's healthy. He's ready to go, right? So they got more pieces back now off the bye week than they had. But the tailback is the catalyst for what they're trying to do offensively. They have the wide split tailback. They'll motion him out and run him. They'll bring him back on counters, G-tosses. He's physical, and I think he provides the biggest energy for that offense. So I think it kind of revolves around him and his success, and, we got to make sure that, we're sound in the game and we're also tackling well, right? I think that'll be big, that limit those runs to 2-3 yard gains instead of he's been breaking those things for 8+. So there'll be a variety of different things that we need to do as a group to make sure that we're trying to contain them.
I know at the start of the season, and you've talked about it as the season's gone on, how important it is to get the running game going. Since you said, hey, we've got this 5, it's maybe a reset here for you guys. How important is it for you guys to get that going here?
Well, I think we've gone up against some pretty good defenses, and you still have to be balanced. I think that's the core of what I'll always say up here. And, I think we had 13 real rushes in the game, and Cam scrambling around gives you rush yardage that looks different. So, but I thought we were productive. I didn't feel like we had loss running and negative runs that got us off of it, but it's just being more consistent and keeping people off balance with it, and making sure that, just doing some self-scout stuff. We're picking and choosing some different areas where we can catch some people off guard and hit some big runs. But I thought it was a better run. We had, like I said, over 30+, 40 explosive runs last year, right? So we got to get back to that and take some pressure off the offense in that realm to create some explosive plays.
Coach, I just wanted to ask about late in that first half. I think it was like 2:17-ish. It was that 4th and 3 play.
Yeah.
It was kind of that double reverse, and then Lincoln had it, and maybe his throw, maybe run. Just kind of the decision making. I know there was a timeout before that play, so you had time to talk about it. Just what kind of went into that play and how you felt about it.
I think those decisions too aren't just made on Saturday on a timeout. Those are made on Thursday preparation. I sit down with Ben every week. We go over the 4th downs. We really felt that we were going to get a zero pressure in that situation, and we could catch them with nobody on the quarterback, Philly special-ish type deal. And to their credit, they gave us something different. They had what we call a gator or a spy out the back door of the imbalance that was sitting out there. Ended up waiting for Cam, probably because of the different amount of things we've done out of on balance. So I never look back and judge calls. I don't. I know it's easy to do and everyone can debate them, but we take the information and put our guys in the best situation possible to make that situation.
And Kyle Thornton after the game mentioned, no sacks in the game, but mentioning that you kind of have to earn the right to rush the passer, obviously with some struggles stopping the run. I'm just wondering what you think. I know you've mentioned cutting the head off the snake with the running game early, just what it's going to kind of take from the defensive front seven to do that more effectively this week.
I think it's being on the same page. I think that's the biggest thing. With the adjustments and motions, those things aren't going to stop. That's a new age offense, and we just got to be more sound and being in our gap up front, creating disruption, being better in the pressure game, creating some negative runs. I think that's important for us, because I think he's absolutely right. I mean, we only got Oregon in a few 3rd downs, and they've been, as efficient offense as there is in the country. We should have an opportunity to get a few more this week, and we got to win those situations. But the longer the distance on 3rd down, the better, and typically that leads to how you're stopping the run.
And I know kind of the dynamic of the team, it does include some freshmen, obviously in that defensive front, especially with like Isaac and Khalil and Ansel. There's just a few of those guys. I'm just wondering how you've seen them develop, and in terms of the moment, a big game like Oregon, just how you've seen them respond to that and just what you've seen from them?
Well, I think I learned a long time ago. Coach Bo would always say, when you play those freshmen, it's going to be challenging, but you're going to reap the rewards of it. And we're going to absolutely reap the rewards. And those guys are in there scrapping, they're fighting, they're getting better. They're going against the best in the country, and they're learning their mettle, and they're holding up just fine. So excited about where those guys are at. Isaac was coming off a little bit of a tweaked hamstring, and his role will continue to, really accelerate as, we kind of go in there, because we've been working a little bit more Nusi at edge, with Quinn and Ram banged up.
Do you need to burn Sage next to Quinn Roff or something? I mean, he gets back the injury, and then it sounded like he was sick for this game.
Yeah, it ended up being a medical emergency that we had to kind of address once we got back here. So he'll be out for a little while, but just some things that haven't gone his way. But I know his attitude is, I'll be back out there as soon as I can.
So he won't be back this week either?
He will not be back this week.
Is there kind of a thought that maybe, you try and use a red shirt on him if he's just not probably going to hit those or get past those 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, we'll kind of evaluate that as we go, especially with an older player. We haven't, we're not in those conversations just yet.
And then you mentioned kind of Nusi moving defensive tackle to edge. Is that, I noticed he didn't take a ton of snaps on Saturday. Was he nicked up, or is it kind of just a mixture of that, trying to find his role?
Well, that's what it was. I mean, in practice, you're practicing at edge. I think Oregon had 57 plays on offense, so it's a balance of how much he's going to get in there. I think he'll have another full week there. We'll feel more comfortable with him having a bigger base of calls. So I think it's a little bit of that and just getting some reps.
And then you mentioned Ram nicked up too. Is that out for this week too? Or
yeah, Ram will be out this week.
Cam had a lot of time to throw on, the other day. Maybe the most he's had since the Oregon State game. Looked like a little indecisive. Maybe he kind of held on to the ball for quite a bit. I know there was one like on 4th down where he just ends up not running out of bounds, but kind of taking a sack out of bounds. Is that something you've talked to him about, or how's that going?
Well, I think every situation's different. I think he was way more decisive with the football on Saturday than what he was the previous 2, right? So I think there's a lot of growth in that direction. The one you're alluding to, we kind of tried to hit a little rub flat on 4th and 1, and you just got to give Andre a chance in the flat, or he's got to take off and run. It's got to be that decision's got to be more decisive. But I thought, as the whole body of work of what we looked at, and we went back at the tape, I thought he was really good in those situations of knowing where he wanted to go and then making plays for chunk plays off the scramble. That was the first time we've had that a couple of times this year. So I thought that was a huge positive of being better in the scramble drill. Isaiah for the touchdown, Nakia over the middle. I mean, those are some things that we've kind of been missing this year that, was a byproduct of how we play a little bit.
Coach, more of a fun one for you. Besides going down there and being in the nice temperatures, I think correct me if I'm wrong, was this your first win as a head coach, was down there in Tempe?
Yeah, it was.
A little bit better, or a little bit good feelings going down there, I guess?
Yeah, it is. Obviously a tough place to play, but definitely a good memory for sure, getting that first one. And, we'll need that same type of little bit of energy and magic for this one. That's for sure.